Hi, welcome to our event, Spark Your Balance Naturally. My name is Radka Gimerova and I'm very happy to have you all here. I put together all these experts to really speak on some very good tips and strategies how to help yourself to find your balance in your mind and in your body and really shine from within. And now I'm very happy to welcome Fiona, then Lochem around us. Fiona is a transformational well-being coach who is dealing with the emotional codes as well, and she's a great expert into the rapid transformational therapy. And as well, she is dedicated to really helping people finding and walking within their true self and within their inner truth as such. Is that right? Welcome, Fiona.
That's exactly it. Okay, yes, thank you. Thank you for the warm welcome and thank you for the opportunity to chat today.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming here with us today. And maybe since I really feel a tremendous impact on your teachings, I would rather maybe at the beginning like to ask you, how do you connect maybe the balance according your knowledge and your experience? Why is it important for us?
The balance in what in
In
particular?
mind, yeah, the balance in our lives, in our minds.
Because we came here to be us, and when we're out of balance is because we're not being true to ourselves. And so we look to all the external things that, oh, maybe it's my working life, or maybe it's my relationship, or maybe it's what I'm wearing, or maybe it's what people think of me. But all of these things are external to us. It's when we're in balance with ourselves, when we truly know who we are and we're happy to project who we are irregardless of the response that we get. And I don't mean that in a, well, I'll just be a nasty person, but genuine to who we are and honor who we are. That's when balance can happen. But it takes a bit of getting used to, because we're not used to being honest to ourselves about who we are.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So how can we do it?
Well, it's about peeling back all of the layers, really, because we've never had an opportunity to be true to ourselves, and that's not through any malice or anything. It's just how the world operates. We come into the world and we're already labeled. As soon as we're born, we're labeled either a male or a female, so that's the starting point. So we've already got an identity external to us that we are expected to associate with. And then with that identity, there's a whole heap of aspects that say, well, if you're male, then this is who you are. And if you're female, then this is who you are. And then, of course, you've got who you were born into the family with. So which child, first, second, third, or whatever in that context. The culture of the country that you're born in. So the expectations of all of that. An education, whether you get an education, the degree of that education for you. So there's all of those layers. And by that stage, you're probably in your 20s, and that's usually when we try and discover who we are. But we're still trying to fit in to the world's expectations of ourselves. We haven't actually identified who we are. So then it's about peeling all of that back to go, well, who am I in the context of the gender I am, the culture I was born into, the family unit, the culture, the education I have or have not had. And it takes a commitment to do that inner self-discovery work. It's definitely worth it, but it does take a decision. Okay, it's not to do with the stuff outside of me, it's to do with what's in.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's the most important what's within, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And we're not encouraged. It's certainly not in my culture. So I live in Australia, and it's not a thing that we're encouraged to do, that internal exploration to discover who we are. We're encouraged to go out, and we're encouraged to socialize, and we're encouraged to be part of this group, and all of those sorts of things. But to actually recognize who you are and to understand your feelings and what those feelings feel like and where they sit in your body, and where that feeling has come from and how to express it or not to express it, that sort of stuff is not taught, it's not encouraged. And so people are a little reluctant sometimes to do that inner work because, you know, that's just not what is the norm.
And it takes time as well.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, but anyway, I would really love to go a little more deeper within ourselves. What would be, Fiona, your recommendations to take that commitment, to take that encouragement within us to really try to unpeel these layers, as you have mentioned, and just go in towards our truth?
Well, I think the first thing that we need to do is accept that the only moment that is important is this moment, the now. Every moment of the now is the important bit, because what we do is we tend to, we think outside this particular moment. When we're in the moment, fully committed to the moment, that means you're fully committed to yourself. You're in that flow state, yeah, which is usually when people are really creative. So they're connecting to their inner thing that's just coming out of them naturally, right? When we think about things from the past and we think about what someone might have said or done or something like that, that's again external to us, and we're projecting backwards, and then we're thinking about those things and we're putting more layers on us. Or, oh, why did I say that? And, you know, thinking back on those things. When we think to the future, that's when we bring about anxiety, because we're, oh, what's they going to say to me? What are they going to think of me? And all of that external validation, which we've been brought up to look for and accept, and especially in the social media world of today, is all of that. But all of that is not the truth of that individual person. So when they're connected to themselves in the exact moment, then the stress of the past and the anxiety of the future just naturally fall away, because they're fully embraced in that moment. So that's a great starting point, just to go, I'm completely committed in this moment.
Do you have a special tip how to do it?
Probably more getting out of here and into here. So, you know, the logical brain, the left side of our head, is the thinking thing. It's the logical thing. It's what we're encouraged to use, usually in a formal education setting, you know, putting things in place, having things planned out, not going off the cuff, not going with the heart or the intuition. And that's what is unique to every single one of us. So you have your own vibration. I have my own vibration. Everything is a vibration. So you can't express yourself if you're pretending to be somebody else. You know, I can't express myself if I'm pretending to be somebody else. So connecting to that and voicing that then allows the person to connect with their inner, because they're coming from here. There's no thought process that has to be involved. It feels right. And that's where allowing themselves to connect with their emotions and connect with themselves becomes important, because then they're just going with, oh, this feels right. Their logical brain's going to jump in and go, well, hang on a minute. But if they can, again, be in the moment, because when the logical brain jumps in, that's when they're going to the past or the future, and, you know, they're muddying the water. So just staying in the heart or in the gut, that means they're being true to themselves. And it does take practice, because it's natural for us to become nervous about, oh, but if I show myself, like my real self, what's, you know, how are people going to respond? How are they going to take me? But what they're doing is that they're actually showing a version of themselves which isn't their true self, which means that everyone who's accepting that version is accepting a false version. They're not actually accepting the real version anyway. So, yeah.
Yeah, I really love this, to really just everything that what we do should really come out from our hearts. And then just deserve, everyone also around deserves to see our best self, right? And we deserve to see our best self.
Absolutely. And the thing is with that is that when you are your own best self, it has that ripple effect, because when you are your own best self, when you are connected fully to you, you don't have to think about, oh, the role I have to play or the things I have to say. It just comes naturally, which means your inner confidence just automatically comes out. It has to automatically come out because you're not playing a role, you're being yourself. So you exude that confidence. Oh my God, and you glow, and there's an energy about you. It's like when someone walks into a room and everyone turns and looks at that person, not because of how they appear, but because of what they're projecting. So when you're in your space and you're fully committed to yourself, that confidence ripples out, and other people go, oh, I like that.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean? And it gives everyone else permission to do the same. They have the choice to do it, but it has that flow-on effect, and that's something I love to see.
Yeah, I love that. This is a really great encouragement, this little story about walking into the room, and once the people around feel it from your heart, and suddenly they even like you even more, and they are encouraged as well to do the same. So I really like this. Yeah. So I'm hearing that maybe the first thing for us would be to really commit to come out as our true self. And then maybe the present moment to stay from the head rather towards the heart. And you are mentioning a lot about the practice. Do you have any practice for us right now that we can maybe take home with us?
Well, I think the practice has to come from, again, staying in the moment, because, often people they will have a conversation in their head. Like, the day is going to start. I'm going to be meeting with this person, and these things are going to happen, and these things. So we're projecting ahead of what's going to happen. We start to have a pretend conversation, especially if we're really stressed about something or anxious about something, we'll have a pretend conversation to allay our fears about that. But of course, the conversation is never going to happen the way we have it in our head, because the other party is part of the conversation. So because the body knows no difference between this exact moment and a moment from the past or a moment from the future, the whole chemical reaction within the body is going to be exactly the same. So the best practice, when you catch yourself starting to think about something from the past or something from the future, about how you think you need to portray yourself in that situation, is that first step is to be aware that you're doing it. And then you're an observer of yourself. So we have a thought, but we can also be aware that we're having the thought. So when you're aware you're having the thought, then you have the choice. Do I want to continue with that thought, or do I want to have a different thought? So that's the first step. The first step is to be aware that you're doing it. Second step is to make a choice about doing it. And then the third step is to accept that choice without berating yourself for it. Sometimes we might make the choice not to be true to ourselves because we're very nervous about something, and we need to go with the version of ourselves that we're used to doing because that's familiar to us, and we want to stick with that for today because we're not brave enough in that moment to be that. But you've made that choice in that moment, as opposed to just doing it by default.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, wonderful. Just have a choice, and we have to decide which direction we go, and it takes the courage. We need to be brave to show ourselves. And I'm thinking in terms of days and in terms of practice, maybe this is a specific moment that we are stressed out from something, and we are maybe overloaded with the tasks, and there are the thoughts in our minds. Is there some tips that you might provide for like a prevention to really like have our day as a flow, some tips that we will prevent these kind of moments where we suddenly just step back and don't want to show our true self?
Well, obviously, if you've started your day with the choice about how you're going to present yourself, then that awareness of when you've shifted, okay, I'm aware that I've shifted into version A or version B of myself, and then being that observer of it, and like I said before, not berating yourself for it. That means that you've prepared yourself. And a lot of that's what the anxiety about actually being yourself is around, is how are people going to respond? How am I going to respond if I'm a different version of myself. So
Mm-hmm.
if you've had some sort of preparation, okay, if I present version A of myself, people may respond this way. If I present version B of myself, people may respond this way. You've sort of rehearsed it a bit within yourself. So that means that you're going to feel a little bit more comfortable with how you perceive other people are responding,
Mm-hmm.
because you don't actually know how they're responding. It's only your perception of their response.
Mm-hmm.
But it's about you being comfortable enough. The other thing is just to practice doing it more and more. So, you know, if you have pets, then be 100% yourself with your pet. You know, if you like dancing to silly music or putting on funny voices, do it with your pet so that you get used to it. And then it'll just happen because you're automatically honoring your truth. Suddenly you'll find you're doing it in front of someone that you thought you'd never do it in front of before.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll be like, oh, well, actually, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, because you've had a little rehearsal time with someone who's not judgmental. And that's the thing, is that fear of judgment, which is what holds us back. So the thing is that the key thing to remember is that most people who are worried about being judged for being themselves, for being true to themselves, the people that they're worried that are going to be judging them are also worried about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm sitting here worrying about what you're going to think of me if I say something,
Uh-huh.
you're actually also sitting there worrying about how I'm going to react when you say something, which means we're all really just thinking of ourselves, and not in a selfish way. But so when you think about that, you go, well, I shouldn't be worried about what someone's going to be thinking, because they're really not going to be thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So practicing in front of your pets, and just remembering that everyone, even the most confident looking person,
Mm-hmm.
is often stressed about how other people are going to respond to their genuine. But as I said before, if everybody is practicing and being themselves, then the ripple effect is happening. Oh, you're just being a daggy person who's being silly. Oh, that means I can be silly. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I love these tips to really like rehearse it in your mind, and just imagine that also other people are having maybe fears and the thoughts. So it may calm us down a little bit to really show our true self. Yeah. And I see that you have really a lot of experience and the knowledge around the topic. And I can imagine years of practice. I have just a little question, if you can share. If with all this knowledge that you have now, if there is something that you should that you would recommend actually to your younger self, what would that be?
Oh, probably not worrying about what other people think, and worrying about whether they're going to reject or accept you for who you actually are. I think that's the key thing. And, you know, we spend so many years of our lives making sure we're the right version of ourselves for a particular person, and then holding ourselves back when we grow. So I would say, don't hold yourself back when you grow, because what happens is, when I become true to myself, I take off that layer that is not true to me. And someone else who's known me for a long time identifies who I am through that layer. When I've taken that layer off and I don't have it anymore, that means how they respond to me has to change, which means they also have to change, because the way that you're relating to each other has shifted. So, you know, the sooner we get the idea that when we're true to ourselves, when we come home to the truth of our soul, then everything is going to be much, much easier, you know. But formative years, I don't know that any young person would ever go, oh, I don't have to worry about what anyone else thinks of me, you know. But that would be one of the things that I would say, just be yourself. And if people aren't accepting that version of you, then they're not actually accepting you, and it's a rejection of some part of themselves. It's not a rejection of you, it's a rejection of the part of themselves that they're not yet ready to look at, work on, accept, love, care for, whatever.
Yeah. Here I have additional questions regarding the boundaries, because if we really take off the layers and really are encouraged to show our true self, it might happen that we actually see different reactions since we are a little bit changed, maybe. How to put these boundaries that it actually does not affect our vibration, our, encouragement and our feelings.
Well, I think it comes back to honoring yourself and your worth. When you honor your worth, then you honor your boundaries. And when you sit in that space of truly knowing, accepting, and loving your good parts and your flaws, because we're all flawed, we're not perfect, letting go of that need for perfection, then you won't accept anything that steps over that boundary. You will just, and it won't bother you either that you don't accept them, because you just recognize that this is the boundary around which sits for me to honor me, and I know I'm worth being honored for the true version of me. And in that also the vibe, because of the vibration that you're putting out, when you're sitting in your truth, you're sending out a vibration, an energy to you that only will attract people to you that are going to honor that anyway. So the only ones who are going to step across the boundaries are the ones that go, oh, I see you for you, I respect you, and I will honor you for the version of you that you are putting out to me. And the more we start to tune into ourselves, the more we tune into other people's energies, which means if someone's not being true to themselves, pardon me, you'll pick it up. You know, it's that gut feeling of there's something not quite, I don't feel comfortable around that person or whatever, which means that you won't invite them in to your boundary anyway, because you will sense from the heart, from the gut, that something's not quite right. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with that person, but it's something wrong with the connection of that person to your personage. So, you know, the vibration you're putting out is going to be drawing in the people that are of a similar way of thinking or feeling or communicating or whatever. And all of your boundaries are then respected, because you're accepting your worth, you're accepting everyone else's worth as equal.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I feel such a warm heart right now and the warm energy. And I love how you expressed it, because it really affects our connections with people and our feelings with whom to connect to really be on the good energy level for as a flow within our lives.
Absolutely, absolutely. And look, you understand that through aromatherapy, right? So everything has a frequency to it. So the oils have a frequency, and they use that in perfumes too. The top note, the middle note, and the base note. So we're no different to that. So we will like attract like in terms of that energy frequency. Anyway, so it's just us blending aromatherapically together, if you look at it from that point of view, and making a new perfume. So this group of people would make this particular smell, and this group of people would make, and that would have a different therapeutic value to it than when you're with this group of people. So, but that wouldn't ring true if you weren't being true to you and I wasn't being true to me, because what you add to the mix is completely unique to you, and what I add to the mix is completely unique to me. So therefore we have to honor who we are, because that's who we came here to be. We didn't come here to be any version of anybody else. All of the superstars and the movie stars and the people look up to, that's admirable, and they've got qualities that you might aspire to, but you came here to be you. And you have to honor and respect that.
Yeah, I think that this is a wonderful end sentence to our conversation, and really something to take away with us home. And just I would like to encourage everyone to really go for finding the true self and really have the courage to show it around. Thank you very much, Fiona. And I know that you have the the free exercise for finding the inner strength, right? For our audience. So we will just be putting the link to it. If you are interested, you can just click the button, so you will find this resource from Fiona. And thank you very much for today, and I hope that we can meet some other time. And yeah, to our true selves, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for today.
Thank you.